Well, that camera's definitely not in focus. Let's see if we can fix that. Good evening, good evening. Focus, 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 focus. Hi guys, how are you? Good evening. We'll be painting some Death Company tonight. So come in. Oh shit, my music's probably way too loud. 1 second. Good evening. The camera's in focus. I get the music turned down, so hopefully you can hear me. Good evening, good evening, good evening. It's been a little while since we've had a painting hangout. I've been wanting to do more. I'm actually out of town for a couple of days over the next few weeks. So I've been filming, I got 4 videos made, uploaded, edited. I think I've got like 1 thumbnail and 1 video description to do. But so there'd be no disruption to Blood Angels Commander content while I'm out of town. I got a wedding to go to, which should be cool because so I think tonight I'm going to start with a little bit of edge highlighting on these guys, on these Death Company, and these Death Company models are ones that I painted years ago, but I'm terrible at edge highlighting. The last battle in stream was brutal. Yeah, it was no joke, was it? I guess Blood Angels don't work that well if you always have to fight last. I don't know how I beat that Elder list, Kevin, but holy crap. Did I roast your army list as one of the first videos? Yeah, that's what I filmed last night, Rezio. I don't know how much of it a roast it is though, because I liked most of you guys' army lists. I haven't edge highlighted. What colour do you use for your HL? That looks extreme. HL, what's HL? Sorry, Manuel, good evening. You mean highlight, maybe? Good evening, Toasty Devil, how you do? Not painting today, but wanted to step in and say hello. By the blood, are we made strong? Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw Mark's video this morning on the 3 Grots channel, but Mark did an awesome video of unboxing the new Devastation of Baal Collector's Edition, and right after he unboxed it, because I had one in my basket last week, but didn't buy it because like I was needing a bunch of other hobby supplies, and one of the other hobby supplies I got was, like, I bought shitloads of the old washes, because I don't know if you're aware, GW have changed the washes, they're now different, and I didn't want to mess with different washes, so I bought like shitloads of bottles of the old washes. So I didn't buy that new Blood Angels book, but right after I watched him unbox it, I was like, oh my god, I wish I'd bought it. For the highlight, I'm going to be using Fenrisian Grey, which is it's like a light blue. It's a Space Wolf colour, I believe. And when I'm doing this, I fully expect to make like 100 mistakes. So bear with me. I haven't edge highlighted models in ages, actually. Absolutely ages. Probably like, because I don't usually do edge highlighting. I think it just helps the black on the Death Company stand out a lot. If contrast paint had been out when I did my Death Company originally, I probably would have like used the black contrast and like not done edge highlighting. But yeah, it wasn't a thing. So I do edge highlight with Fenrisian Grey, and it takes me ages. And basically, I'm probably gonna have to go back and forth a bunch of times because I struggle to get the lines thin enough or thick enough. You know what it's like when you're edge highlighting. Hector Rex has been working well for me. I like having 2 psychers, him and Meth. You know what, I always thought about buying Hector Rex. He's a pretty cool psycher, isn't he? What powers do you take on him? And remind me what the powers do, because I haven't looked at Inquisition in a long time. Robert says, what are we working on? Just finished my Primaris Tech Marine and moved on to some Eliminators. Nice. I keep thinking about taking Eliminators with Quake Bolts. I keep thinking about it. So yeah, you're gonna see me make mistakes for sure when I'm edge highlighting. But it's easy enough to fix with black afterwards, isn't it? It's always easier to fix as well because you're going towards it. Like you can build it up slowly. Brazil just ordered Cotias from eBay to add to my army, but the damn seller appears to be reliable, very late and not in transit. I've got Cotiez. I think he's okay. I've never really been blown away by what he can do, or and good evening, Mark. I thought you were going to say something about your first ever YouTube video without me or Tony, but congrats on doing it. I thought it was awesome. I enjoyed it. I watched right to the very end. And I felt very jealous. I think at one point in the video you said, I'm not going to leave this book sitting on the shelf, I'm planning to read it. And I was like, thank God. That's why I didn't buy it, to be brutally honest, because I thought to myself, like, I just don't know when I would ever get the time to read it. It's different. For me, it's with the kids. I pretty much, all my books consumption now is from Audible. Because I walk to work and it takes me like 30-35 minutes to walk to work. So that's usually like a chapter, sometimes 2 chapters, and I just listen to books on my walk to work. So I don't read nearly as much as I used to. Maybe when I have to go travelling for work again, I'll read a bit, but I haven't been travelling for work because of COVID and all that. Audible is great though. I'm so glad that they've got like a lot of Warhammer content on Audible. For a long time they didn't have any, right? And then they got Warhammer content, and the Warhammer content they've got is generally pretty high quality, so I subscribe to Audible and I honestly have more books than I could probably ever read. I probably need to unsubscribe at some point. I think I've got credits I need to spend. But yeah, that's the great thing about Audible, is like, for the price you pay of like $3 a month, you do get I feel like you do get quite a lot of content for it. Yeah, so you can see already, like, on my edge highlighting, look how rough that is, but then like look how good this guy looks. So I'll go back afterwards and I'll just go back with black and tidy this up. This is why I don't edge highlight every model. I don't know if I have the accuracy for it or the skill. I do think it's nice to edge highlight the black. Oh, some people do it better with like a different, like, there's other greys you can use. You don't need to use the off grey, the blue grey that I use. The reason I've got one of my actually done models out here is because I haven't done Death Company in so long, so I wanted to have one as reference, so I know where the hell I'm going to edge highlight. Good evening, Helen Phoenix. How you doing? Manuel just started Devastation on Baal and Audible. Finished Dante last week. Yeah, Devastation is great. The book after is great as well, Darkness in the Blood, and then who knows where the story's going next. Darkness in the Blood came out probably almost 2 years ago now, though, I feel like. I think it came out at the end of 2020. So hopefully we shouldn't have to wait too long before the next book, but who knows. I usually just put power through knowledge on Hector, 5++ on bikes or infantry, and you still think that's valuable even with Armour of Contempt? Because, like, a lot of people have been dropping Psychic Fortress now, right? With since Armour of Contempt came out, people have been rating Psychic Fortress as a weaker power and have been dropping it. Seems like, anyway. I mean, Psychic Fortress used to be brilliant on like Redemptors and stuff, but like I'm not 100% sure it's needed now. I mean, I haven't been running that librarian, so I don't know. Good evening, Saibal. Hello, hello. Did I say hello to you, Highland Phoenix? If I didn't, I'm sorry. I'm all at 6s and 7s today. I still feel bad about that defeat on Wednesday though, like holy crap man, Eldar. I said to Kev afterwards, because I've played Kev's Eldar a bunch of times on the channel, and Kev's Eldar, like I always beat Kev's Eldar. I was like, Kev, why the hell are you not running like one of these Eldar lists that's like redonkulously strong? And don't know if he had a good answer, but I was like, Kev, when I invite you to the channel, I want you to bring the strongest list you can, so you can, you know, so I can basically learn the army and also know what the hell I have to deal with. So hopefully if he brings a list in the future. But then I read today that like Zonothropes for Tyranids are still doing insane damage. 3 smites from Zonothropes did 26 mortal wounds. That's what I read today on Twitter. And I was like, oh my god. I thought they made Tyranids weaker. That doesn't sound weaker at all. That sounds horrific. I was surprised by the score discrepancy. I mean, the score discrepancy was because I never got to fight a single time with my Sangre Guard in the entire game, and then I didn't... The only time I got to fight with my Death Company I fought last. I mean, I could have maybe done some better positioning, sure, but I didn't really know what the Eldar list could do. I knew I needed to kill the D-cannons, but there was no way for me to get to them. So, like, if you can't kill D-cannons, then I guess that can be troublesome. And those D-cannons, even with the indirect fire changes, the damage that comes out from D-cannons, especially if they can ever see you and they don't have to take like the -1 to hit and the -1 to damage, their damage is no joke. Sisters are crazy to play against now. Yeah, I'm supposed to be playing Andrew's sisters in a couple of weeks' time. I think like not this Wednesday coming. Maybe like the Wednesday after that, I think I'm playing Andrew's sisters. And Andrew's a good sisters player. At one point in 9th edition, he was considering just focusing on sisters, and I said to him, "Yeah, you should focus on sisters, Andrew, because you're good at them. You know what everything does." And I think sisters, like I've always thought sisters are reasonably strong. I guess I thought their 9th edition codex was good. I guess they fell out for a little while, but their secondaries have brought them back in, and I always thought Miracle Dice was a strong mechanic, you know that? In some ways it's the Threads of Fate from Eldar is very strong as well, like just being able to manipulate the dice when you really need it. And one thing that the sisters could do, and I mean they could do this before all the recent changes. Can you explain the 3 fight lasts he had? Howling Banshees, if he charges, your fight last. Jane Czar has an aura of everything that's engagement range, fights last. And then the third thing is a psychic power. I actually don't remember the name of the psychic power. But it's a psychic power he doesn't need line of sight to cast. And I think it does something like -1 to your leadership or -2 to your leadership, and you fight last. So, I mean, I knew he could make me fight last, and I knew the character had an aura of fight last. That's why I actually went for like a turn 1 charge to try and kill the Banshees, so that I got like rid of one of his fight lasts, but then I failed like a really rough early charge, and then after that I just never got to fight. So, it was horrific. I'm sure there was other mistakes made in that game, but yeah, if I play Elder again, I guess I got to think like really long and hard about some of my moves, because that's probably the worst beating that I've had in like a year or longer. I think I probably deployed my guys too aggressively as well. I think I probably underestimated his damage in melee and stuff like that, but honestly I didn't know what I was to expect. Andrew's playing Sisters versus Brett. I commented my fervent support for Brett. Who won that game? I assume it was Andrew, because I mean Brett felt pretty confident about it, but I think the Sisters secondaries are really, really good. On a lighter note, I got a solid win against Alpha Legion with Abaddon. Congrats, Cybele. That's the messed up thing, right? Like, that list that I basically got 7 points with or something ridiculously low against Eldar, it's the exact same list that I beat World Eaters with and Chaos Knights plus Abaddon the week before. And against the Chaos Knights, I mean, I killed 11 Armigers or something. I almost tabled the Chaos Knights. All he had left was Abaddon and like 1 Armiger on like 8 wounds or something. And if I'd had line of sight to the Armiger, I would have killed it in the final turn. So it was like, you know, I feel to myself like my list wasn't necessarily a bad list or super bad problem. It was just like how do you counter 3 fight lasts when you're not really familiar with the enemy army? It's very difficult. Or at least... I mean, I guess that's why I want to get different armies on the stream, so you guys don't have to go through the pain that I go through, right? That's why we got Dakari on the stream like a month ago, and, you know, Miles is a new person we've not had on the stream before, but he did win an RTT with that tournament. He did win an RTT with that Elder list, and that's exactly why I wanted to get him on, because I was like, Miles, I want you to bring that Elder list that won the tournament. 1, so people can see it, and 2, so we know what the hell we have to deal with, right? Need to team a character to each Sangre Guard and charge in waves, sacrificing the character to allow the Sangre Guard to fight. I mean, you say that, and that's what other people said as well, Highland Phoenix. I mean, a good player will just make sure that only a few of their models are within engagement range of the character, so that the rest of them can just fight other things. I mean, that's what I would do if I was fighting into Blood Angels, right? So I don't... As much as Angel Sacrifice is a great power and has a lot of uses, there's definitely ways the enemy can play around it. But then I guess it comes down to their experience into Blood Angels and stuff like that, I suppose. That's one way you could look at it. Some games are just learning games. Yeah, and you know what? I'm really glad that I played that quote-unquote learning game not at the tournament, you know? Like, if I'd done that at the top table of a tournament, I'd be raging. So, happy to do it on stream, get some learning, and I guess if I do fight him again, one way that I've done this before, because I remember played Admech at a tournament, and fortunately I'd actually played Gav on stream. That was probably the last time that I got beat really hard on stream, was when I played Gav, and he played his Admech shortly after the Admech Codex came out in 9th, where Admech were just like, they're killing everything with those big squads of Skitarii, right? Because there was like, you know, auto wounds on 5s and extra AP on 5s and all sorts of stacking stuff, and the Skitarii were impossible to kill because they all have invulnerable saves and they ignore AP and they get about 60 shots per unit or something. So that was the last game that I played on stream that I got brutalized by Gav, and then I actually went to a tournament probably like a month later, and I played into Admech, and being brutalized by Gav on stream meant that like I knew what I needed to look out for. And one of the tricks that I actually did at that tournament was I knew he was going to have those, is it the Rust Stalkers with the taser goads or something? Like, they're like a little melee unit that have like crazy amount of pistol shots, and then their tasers are ridiculously good at killing Marines as well, because they're like strength 5 -2 or -3 or something. And what I did was basically I used my incursors as fodder. So anywhere I had my Sangre Guard on the board, I basically put a squad of incursors in front of them. So if he was going to use like his advanced deployed guys to make charges into me, which I fully expected he was going to do, he's going to have to kill the squad of incursors, because I'm just going to basically use the incursors to screen the Sangre Guard, and then like in my turn, yes, my incursors are going to be dead, but then my Sangre Guard are going to be able to mop up what's left. And yeah, I mean, I guess if I hadn't been brutalized by Gav on stream, I wouldn't have known how to do that into Admech, or how important that was to do into Admech. So I guess the same thing might be relevant into Eldar, where it's like, if you don't think you can get into the Howling Banshees before they can get into you, then you just put a squad that you care less about. I guess this case it would be like Incursors or Salt Intercessors or something. You put them in front of your Sangre Guard, fully expecting them to die. Yes, it sucks to just have a unit die, but I mean, if it means that like your more important unit is just good to go and then can mop up, I guess there could be quite a lot of value in that. Good evening, DTM. How you doing? You should only get to charge to touch base You should only get the charge to touch base with the killiest enemy, though. What do you mean, Highland Phoenix? Good evening. Some guy at the store took a chaos list with 2 Lords of Skulls, a Brass Scorpion, and Abaddon. It was brutal looking. I mean, Abaddon on his own is kind of brutal looking, right? I think... So, I can't remember, when I was playing Andrew, does Abaddon get... He gets a free charge reroll or something, does he? So he comes in from Deep Strike, basically in turn 2, and gets a free charge reroll, I think. And yeah, Abaddon is... His melee combat is ridiculous right now. Like, he'll just kill anything he's in combat with, it feels like. Or deploy 2 Incursor units, he overcommitted on them with 10 Raptors and Bikes, which wiped out with the Sangry Guard on my turn. Yeah, it's a weird one, but I guess... Like, oh shit, don't drop the model, John. It's... That's why I needed to play Eldar more often, I guess. We need to get a more regular Eldar player on the stream, because I was really impressed with some of the relics, actually. The amount of mortal wounds that they were kicking out as well. That spear that one Exarch had in the bike squad, just doing like 5 mortals every combat phase, that was a real problem for me as well. New player here looking to start with 500 points. Do you have any videos on 500 points? I do not have a video on 500 points, but if you're new, you want to get a box of like they come as, I think they box them as Primaris Infiltrators, but you build Infiltrators or Incursors from them. So you're going to need troops. You're 100% going to need troops. So start by buying a squad of Infiltrators or Incursors. And you want to probably build them as Incursors, because I think Incursors just work best for Blood Angels. You want to get some Sangry Guard as well, because they're like arguably our most... I wouldn't say arguably, they are our most damaging unit. So you need to deal damage, so you need some Sangry Guard. You probably want a couple of boxes of those. A squad of Incursors and like 200-300 points of Sangry Guard. Then you just need like a character. So at the moment everybody's really rating Dante as a good character. So I'd probably go ahead and get Commander Dante, and then at that point I think you would just be running on fumes, so you could pick up something that you wanted because you like the look of it, or you know, something. And sometimes in this hobby it can just be as much as, hey, I like the look of that model, that's why I'm going to run it, as much as maybe it's super competitive, right? Any upcoming games versus Necrons? You know what, we've not played Necrons since Necrons got their points shifted, or their... I mean, we've not played them since Nephilim, but we've not played them... Didn't they get an FAQ slightly before that as well? But I do have a friend that I work with that plays Necrons, and I did speak to him maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago and told him like, hey, whenever you're up for a game, let me know and we'll get you on the channel. So maybe I just need to push him a little bit, because sometimes people are busy in real life and stuff. You kind of need to get them to nail down to a game. We could get Necrons on the channel soon. Last time I played him, he played double Catan and he just beat me by like a couple of points, but it was super close. So it might be cool to get that rematch. Oh, Mark's linked to a video as well. Mark's probably linked to one of our podcast videos, because we do have another channel where we do podcasts, and we do getting started videos on the podcast, so please consider subscribing over there as well as here if it's something that you feel like there's value in. And yeah, that's it. Subscribe. Do Blood Angels have significant weaknesses? Asking as a wolf player. I mean, Space Wolves have some great things that they can do against us, yeah, with all their heroic interventions and with all their fight lasts. Do we have significant weaknesses? I mean, I think right now we're a pretty high tier army. I would say we're like low A, high B maybe? But I mean, the rules are in constant flux now, right? With the way that they're trying to do like seasons, I guess. So yeah, sure, Blood Angels have weaknesses. There's a few matchups that are very difficult for us. I guess maybe Dukari used to be difficult for us. I played Dukari maybe 3 months ago, maybe slightly more, and did find it difficult. I did get the win in that game, but like it was very difficult. Oh no, I got a draw in that game actually. It was very difficult to get a draw actually. The Dakari are still good against us. I guess sisters are good against us, but I mean, it goes around. What comes around goes around, I feel like. There's only one Blood Angels player at the GT today, and he was playing Minotaurs as BA successors. I was a bit disappointed. I mean, sometimes that happens, right? Sometimes that happens. I get so many pots of Null Oil now, it's ridiculous. I play others as well, depending on where you're located in Scotland. If it's not too far, I can come play time to time. I'm in Forfar. Forfar's pretty far away. That's near Dundee, right? Am I happy the football's back? I actually watched 2 games of football today this afternoon. I didn't catch all... Yeah, I didn't catch all the football. Like, let's say I watched it. I guess it was on in the room that I was in, but like, maybe actually watched like 20-30 minutes of football. Dundee United played okay. Do you know the football teams I'm into, Andy? Dundee United played okay. The red card made us lose 2 points. And then I caught some in the Arsenal game. Arsenal look like they're going to be strong this season. I've got Gabriel Jesus, I think is how you're supposed to say his name, even though it's spelled Jesus. I've got him in my fantasy football team. He looks really strong. 25 miles outside Dundee. North or south of Dundee? What kind of red is this? This is just Mephiston red over black, but a couple of coats. Oh, nice, a fellow Arsenal fan. I've been an Arsenal fan for a long time, dude. Since oh balls, that's my daughter up. Is it, or is she just making a noise? No, she's up. I'll be right back. Alright, thank you. Where's that IT Crowd gif about football? IT Crowd is brilliant, isn't it? I haven't actually watched any of the new seasons, but I did watch like the first season. I remember when they had that bit about football, and they were like, did you see that appalling display last night or something like that, right? No, I've been an Arsenal fan since like the early 90s. I don't know why. It seems like everybody up here either picks Man United or Arsenal, but I picked Arsenal. But yeah, so Premier League's back next week or 10 days or something. That'll be good because I'm always babysitting my kids on a Saturday afternoon, so while they watch a pig or something on the television, I can watch football on my phone or my iPad. Good. It's good. So is everybody painting tonight? Are you guys painting? What's happening? And one of the things that we've been working on for the 3 Grots channel actually is we've been working on like a new series of videos that's going to break down every single mission from Nephilim into like sort of like 5-minute smaller videos. So something completely different, I guess. But like hoping we can basically share tips and tricks for every map. So I think we're planning on starting releasing that in the next couple of weeks. Might even be as early as Monday. Mark would tell you when it's actually going out. Can you talk about magnetizing? I bought the Blood Angels Combat Patrol kind of stuck and powerless by analysis since there's so many variations. Is it worth magnetizing? It seems like a decent amount of work to do. Magnetize... The Blood Angels Combat Patrol has what? Like a Impulsor? Is it a squad of intercessors, a squad of aggressors, and like a chaplain? Is that right? I'm doing blood effects on my death company. Cool. I guess most of my models end up being pretty clean. I don't do too many like effects like that. You can see here when I'm edge highlighting that like I just go for cleanliness, I guess. The first video of the series is going to go live on Monday. Nice. I have an idea is to use Astrograph that I only use on basing on the cloaks for some camo effect. Some people have done really nice camo effects on those cloaks, Robert, by like using the texture paint on them so that it's like the cloak sort of blends into the base paint, I guess. I've seen some people do it and it looks totally awesome, so I guess yeah, I mean if you just Google like eliminators, some people have done like an amazing job on the cloaks. I don't know if I would ever be that person, but I've definitely seen some amazing cloaks. Sorry, the question about the combat patrol, where was it? Librarian, aggressors, intercessors, impulsor, and incursors. I'm looking at the intercessors and infiltrators. There are 5 models you can build into either of those. Do you know, I have like a lot of intercessors, like the regular intercessors with the bolt rifles. I have so many of them, like let's say like 30 of them, and I haven't run any of them in like 2 years. So I wouldn't worry about having to magnetize intercessors. I would just make the other option. Infiltrators are good, incursors are good. Both are really good for Blood Angels. So if you've got... I wouldn't worry about intercessors magnetization. The aggressors, I think flamers are much better options, personally, because they're cheaper, and 2, they're just so much better at preventing charges, because, you know, if you get charged by like Sisters of Battle or something, the flamers on the aggressors are so much better. I have all my aggressors built with bolters, and I feel like I regret it because they never get played anymore, and I wish they all were flamers. So you could probably do that. The impulsor you don't have to magnetize because it's just got a couple of different turrets, and you can just basically pick them up and put them back down on top of the impulsor, I'm pretty sure, because I didn't magnetize my one. And I made the shield dome and I made the missile launcher, and like if I want to swap them out, I'll just swap them out. I don't think you need to magnetize them. I've done a couple of videos on magnetizing. If you're buying like a dreadnought with different arms, or if you're doing a tank with different turrets or sponsons, that's when I would probably start magnetizing, because those things are expensive, and you're never going to run that many tanks, I guess, or that many different dreadnoughts. I do have a video, Sangre Guard at the moment, I feel like you want to magnetize. Death Company, maybe you would want to magnetize. I've got a video on how to magnetize Sangre Guard coming out pretty soon as well, in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I know what you're saying. You can sometimes get stuck thinking like, shit, I can't do this model because I potentially need to magnetize it, and then yeah, sometimes I think you have to take the plunge. What I do is ask in our Discord or ask here on the live streams, like, hey, I've got this one model, is it worth magnetizing? And I think you'll get a reasonably decent response from people, because I don't think every single model under the sun potentially needs magnetized. I think that some of the models that have multiple loadouts, like Sangregard, will benefit from having magnets. But some models, like aggressors, like I think you'd be up. Like you could probably do the aggressors either way. Bolters is fine-ish. Some people have actually played the bolters in competitive play. I think flamers are much better on aggressors. Oh well, look, Reziel says bolters are better. Man, my bolter and aggressors have sat on the shelf for like 2 years, Reziel. I haven't seen a single game. Alright, you guys can see now why I really don't do edge highlighting, because I just have to paint it. It's super rough, and then I have to spend half an hour fucking fixing it. Cybel says, I have a question for you. What made you decide the Blood Angels Commander channel, and how have you found your experience hitting sub goals like 50, 100, 1,000, 10,000? What made me want to start doing the channel? It's a very good question. I mean, I think it was just I wanted to kind of maybe be a little bit of an ambassador for Blood Angels. I was probably frustrated with some of the rules, or I was frustrated with something, and I was like, maybe Games Workshop will listen to me if I have a crap ton of YouTube subscribers. But I mean, that doesn't work that way. They don't. Games Workshop is so big, they don't care about me. I mean, I'm way too small, I think, for me to be even particularly on their radar. So, but once I'd started it, it very quickly changed, I guess, from like, hey, I want to talk to Games Workshop. And do you know what? Part of it, I think, was also like, you know, you can go onto Reddit and you can post up your army list and you can say, hey, I'm thinking of doing a Blood Angels army. This is what I'm playing. Do you guys think it's good? And on Reddit, you'll get everything from like people saying, yeah, it's great, to people saying, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You should never, you know, those units don't ever work in Blood Angels. And at that point, I was actually, yeah, I think I was a bit frustrated with Blood Angels at that point, because everyone was telling me like I should just go full melee. Like everyone that I spoke to, you know, online or whatever, was just saying like, Blood Angels, you're a melee chapter, you shouldn't take any guns or whatnot. And I kept losing games. Like I was losing a lot of games at that point. Let's say I had like a 40% win rate at best. Like I wasn't doing well. And I kept doing the same thing, and it was like, alright, I'm going to try and run Dreadnoughts, and I'm going to try and run like Judas ERs, and I'm going to try and run like, I think I was running like 3 Dreadnoughts in a list back then, and like nobody was running Dreadnoughts. And I think even if I posted my list up on Reddit, people would be like, hey, it's not a Blood Angels list because you're running 3 Dreadnoughts, you know, like go run another chapter or something. And I was like, well, I've always played Blood Angels. I've played Blood Angels for like 10 years. Dreadnoughts are working for me, you know. I've gone from like a crap win rate to a pretty good win rate. I don't understand what the problem is. And that's kind of, I guess, where my headspace was when I started the channel. As far as like hitting the milestones, it's been good and interesting at the same time, because like sometimes when you hit a milestone, I thought to myself like, damn, I better make some better videos, because like I've quite a lot of subscribers now, and you know, your subscribers, if you want to keep growing, you just have to keep making content, or better content, right? So but no, it's been cool, Cybel. I'm happy that I did it. I mean, it was during COVID as well, right? So like there wasn't a whole lot of other things you could do during COVID. In Scotland, you weren't even allowed, like you were allowed out once per day for a half-an-hour walk. So it was pretty boring. So that's what I channeled my energy into. From what I gather, folk do magnetize just some units, and weapon choice is a no-brainer. You can skip magnetization on those. Yeah, that's pretty much right, Prime Heretic. But please feel free to come into any stream and ask, or ask in any comment on any one of my videos. If there's ever a question that you have about whether it's worth magnetizing or not, I'll give you my opinion, because I've magnetized a good few things over the years. And I've also not magnetized some things, and some things I regret, and some things I don't, so please just ask your questions. Have I been surprised by the community? I've been surprised by the numbers of people, actually, Cyable. Like, I didn't know if... My goal for the... Because I made goals when I started the channel, after it had sort of got a little bit of growth. And I was like, right, my goal for 2 years is going to be 1,000 subscribers. Well, we're actually 2 years old in 3 days. So I kind of smashed my goal of 1,000 subscribers. But yeah, I really didn't know what to expect, I guess. I mean, it's a hobby, right? Gavin says, I'm literally gluing my very first 40k miniatures. As I'm watching you, it's Custodian Wardens, but I love your channel. By the way, do you recommend a magnifier for painting? Yes, 100%. I mean, I don't know if you can see one, but I've got one here. And this magnifier is, well, like, here's the model. Here's the model. So apparently this is a 300% magnifying glass. When you look at it like that, it looks more like 200%. But this one's also got light built into it. It was like 20 quid on Amazon. I bought it like 3 years ago. I do need to replace it because the battery and the light is kind of shit now compared to when it was new. That's why it's always plugged in. It didn't need to always be plugged in when it was new. But yeah, I mean, it's just like a desk mounted. It's just got a clip it mounts on the desk. I think it made me a better painter. I'm convinced it did, but then my eyesight isn't brilliant, so maybe if your eyesight's all good, because I'm short-sighted, I find it hard to see things that are close to me. I can see distance fine, but I can't see close up. Do you ever think you would try playing a range of... do you ever think you would try playing a range focus army? Oh right, like a range focus Blood Angels list or a range focus army in general? I mean, a range-focused Blood Angels list isn't going to make the most sense because chapter tactic of +1 to wound is like, and +1 to charge is kind of like the strongest part of Blood Angels, right? Yeah. We made tier list videos with the 3 grots and people liked watching them, so we've made more content. If you enjoyed the tier list videos, you'll probably enjoy what we do on the 3 grots channel. Tony really wanted to... Was it Tony or was it you, Mark, that wanted to call the channel 3 middle-aged men talking bullshit? Because that's what we do. But yeah, we talk bullshit. We try and do some stuff on. We try and give some advice around 40k, I guess. I wanted to say I'm doing better now after my serious skin infection. However, I had to go to top-end ER because of possible bone infection, but I'm doing well now. That's crazy, dude. So how did you get that? That skin infection was from an insect bite, like just like a run-of-the-mill insect bite, or what happened? Because I googled that thing that you said that you had, Marcus, and it sounded pretty crazy. And it sounded like, yeah, you can just get an insect bite, and like some people are like sometimes people can like basically have their leg amputated from an insect bite. It's just because there's some sort of bacteria in the bite or something that can get inflamed and your body can't fight it. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. Bruin Biscuits is back from a win, 83.79. Congrats, dude. How are you doing this fine Saturday evening? How are you doing? The middle-aged main doesn't have the same ring to it. I mean, I guess not. Yeah, we just try and have fun with 3 Grots, and I guess our content won't be for everybody, and it's not as regular as the stuff that we put on Blood Angels, but yeah, we're just trying to have fun with it, and you know, I guess there's so many content creators doing stuff for 40k online, so I guess if you like what we do, then we really do appreciate you watching it. I can't have enough Death Company these days. Yeah, you know, back in the day I never made that many with hammers, that's my problem. So I'm back edge highlighting them, which I hate doing. Because I never think I'm good enough at it. And I end up going back and forth forever to try and get some of the highlights nice. But this is why I don't edge highlight on my other red models or my Sangre Guard, because it literally takes me ages. After watching the game versus Elder, I'm buying some Shining Spears. Okay, so yeah, just watch me get crushed by something and be like, wow, that must be pretty good if it just killed John that hard. Let me buy some of those. Okay, I see how it is. So I get all the pain so you guys know what to buy, huh? Fair enough. Do any of the 3 orcs play? Do any of the 3 Grots play orcs? That's a good question. Do you know what? I used to play orcs, like 20 years ago. Used to. I actually used to, do you remember when I had orc cavalry? Like, I think they were called boar boys. Was that a thing? That's going way back. Orc boar boys. I had a box of them, like in a green box. Snake. Were they called snakebite orcs back then, or was it just orc boar boys? I don't remember. Yeah, beatdowns teach you way more. Yeah, you always learn more when you lose. It's 100% a thing, because when you win a game, like I rarely think of, like, you know, you win a game, you walk away from the table, you put that game at the back of your head and go, yeah, I won that game, well played. But when you lose a game, you go, well, maybe my list wasn't that strong. Like, what could I have in my list that would have helped in that game? Or, you know, what did I do wrong? And is there something I could have changed? And man, I should have definitely not moved into range of that D cannon, or stuff like that. You know, so it's like you have to lose to become better. I think. I guess I just don't like making a habit of losing. But I mean, who does, right? Making a habit of losing. What day is it today? It's the 30th, and it's 5 to 11, David. Good evening. It's not often someone comes into the stream and is like, what day is it? Random. You could have just said, are we live? And we would have said yes or no. I mean, do you go into streams normally and people say, are we live? And then they say yes, we're live, and then you say what day it is, and they say, like, it's Tuesday? Is that a thing that actually happens? Sorry, I'm trolling you. It's late on a Saturday night. Good evening. Thanks for tuning in. How are you? That's not a nice way to greet people. Bad John. Thanks for being here, David. But yeah, we are live. It's not crazy. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm gonna put some red on these on the rims of these feet. I hate edge highlighting. I'm so slow at it. Death Company feet, man. I missed the game. Used to play Drukhari. I was surprised when I got back into 40k, and then I saw Warhammer Fantasy Battles had been scrapped. Fantasy Battles is coming back though, right? I actually way back in the day used to play Warhammer Age of Reckoning, which was like an MMO. Based in the Fantasy Battles, well, yeah, I guess it wouldn't be the Fantasy Battles universe, it would just be the Fantasy universe, right? And I played Warrior Priest back then, like for the Empire, and I don't know if you've never played Warhammer Age of Reckoning. It was basically just World of Warcraft, but Warhammer, and I actually thought it was a great game. I really liked it. But I guess for whatever reason it didn't quite take off. I think they tried to focus too much on PvP. I think that was the problem, maybe. And sometimes when these games focus on PvP, then they just die. And I guess it died. And it was also EA, and EA have a nasty habit of killing games off, even if unless they're super successful, EA kill them off. But Age of Reckoning was a cool MMO. And based in the Fantasy Battle, and it actually had like a Tomb Kings expansion, which was also pretty cool. Tomb Kings were like removed when they did Age of Sigmar. Like if you had a Tomb Kings army, I think you were screwed. Like I think you just basically your army was completely like it just didn't exist in the new Age of Sigmar. I think that's possibly what annoyed a lot of people about Age of Sigmar. I actually got a bunch of Age of Sigmar models, but like they're all in cellophane, or they're not in cellophane. I've opened them, but they're all on their sprues. I don't know when I'm getting to them. I think when I first came back to the hobby after being out of it for like 5 years, I was like I thought I could accomplish way more than I could, like much quicker. Would it be a case of using light primer if you're painting gold on the custodes, for example? Mark uses white primer when he paints gold. So I've been playing since '96. Worked for GW as a tech priest playtester. Got out of it decades, an old friend was getting out, so just gave me his Blood Angels army, and that's how I ended here. Well, welcome back. I was out for ages as well, actually. David, I was out from about 4th edition to 8th edition, so I don't know how many years that was. Maybe like the best part of 10 years I was out. Maybe not quite 10, but close to 10. Other priorities, I guess, for 10 years, and then came back, and since I've come back, I've probably enjoyed the hobby more than when I was a kid. Taking it a bit more seriously than when I was a kid as well, though. So, I mean, I find that maybe when you were a kid, you didn't have to buy any of the models yourself. The parents paid for it, and you didn't realize how expensive it was. Nowadays, when you pay for it yourself, I feel like it's quite an expensive hobby. So I like to give my models like the respect that, or at least give them like a decent bit of time and effort, because they're so expensive these days. I'm really unhappy with the edge highlighting on the other side of that foot there. So I might try and go over it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it any better, but I'm unhappy with it, so I'm going to give it a try, I think. I only started in 9th edition March 2021. Well, we've got everybody here. I started in 2nd edition. You can don't know if you can see it behind me in this video, but you definitely see it in some of my other videos. I started in 2nd edition when the Blood Angels were on the cover, when it was like that sergeant with the power fist. I think he's got a plasma pistol on the cover. No, actually he's got a power fist and a bolter. Actually, I think that sergeant for the 2nd edition box art. He's got a lot of yellow on him as well. I don't paint any of my Blood Angels like that, but back in the day they used to have a lot of yellow on them. Clint has been a member for 18 months now, Clint. Thank you so much for the ongoing support. You guys have made this channel such a great place, and it's so appreciated. 18 months, thank you very much, Clint. It'll be interesting since GW fired playtesters and called someone to come in and balance 40k. I heard that playtesters had been fired. I didn't know that they called somebody to balance. I assumed that they had in-house people that must have the title of, like, they must have some in-house balancers, right? I guess we'll see over the next couple of, like, points releases and stuff if the balance improves or doesn't. I actually think that the last couple of releases seem like they've been going in the right direction. Sometimes quite hard to say because, I mean, there's so many factions now, right? Anyone else play the Lord of the Rings Warhammer game? That was my first experience to anything Warhammer related. I never actually played that Warhammer Lord of the Rings game. I guess I saw it every time I was in the stores, like to pick up models, and I kind of always wanted it. I wanted to get the... Was it the Battle of Penneller Fields? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's the battle at the end of Return of the King with like all the horsemen when the row... you know, when he's like, Gondor calls for aid. I saw that they did like a box set for that, and it looked really cool. Every time I hear the music from that Battle of Penneller Fields, I really don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but every time I hear that music, I pretty much get goosebumps. You know, when I'm gonna say I've not watched Lord of the Rings in a long time, so if I get the character name wrong, excuse me. I think it's Theoden. You know, he's like doing the, like, running down the line on the horse with all the swords. That was a pretty epic scene when they, you know, when it first released or whatnot. But yeah, no, I always saw that Lord of the Rings game, but no, I never played it. I always wanted to. Unfortunately for me, I guess one army is enough to keep me busy. The Charge of the Rohirrim. The Battle at Pelennor Fields. Yeah, something like that, Mark. I'm definitely not pronouncing it right. House of the Dragons or the Ring of Power. I preferred Lord of the Rings to Game of Thrones, but, and it's a big but, I was really enjoying Game of Thrones until the final series. And I was actually enjoying it so much that I bought the final season on like 4K, like super excited, like I guess everybody else was. And then the final season was questionable, and the cinematography in the final season was like really bad, in that like in some of the big fights you just couldn't see anything. You know, like literally, like you didn't know who was in the fight because they're just like they'd used too much smoke machine or something like that. And ever since that, like I was gonna go back and watch the entire Game of Thrones with my wife, and then we watched the final season and we're like, yeah, well, we're not doing that anymore. So Game of Thrones was like a real anticlimactic thing, but up until the final season, really enjoyed it. So I prefer Lord of the Rings. There's a new Lord of the Rings TV show coming out, right? So I guess we'll see what that is, but I'm more of a science fiction person, I guess, than fantasy. Like, sci-fi TV shows are my jam. There's not been enough in recent years, but I love science fiction more than fantasy. I do read a bit of fantasy, but science fiction more. The last season felt rushed, says Michael. Yeah, that's probably what happened. They probably either had a budget or, well, weren't they? Didn't they get ahead of the author of the actual books of Game of Thrones? Like, he's still not released the last 2 books, so they probably didn't have as much source material to work with. But it still doesn't excuse the cinematography being that bad, because, like, yeah, if you think of that fight in the second Lord of the Rings movie, when they're Helm's Deep, they're fighting at night, you never once like turned to someone else and went like, "Oh, I don't know what's happening because I can't see." And Game of Thrones just got that all wrong. They landed a Star Wars contract and they rushed the final 3 seasons to get the Star Wars money, and then Lucasfilm cancelled it. All right, well, I didn't know that, but yeah, I mean, the cinematography in that final season was questionable at best, I guess. Which is a shame, because up until that point, I was really, really enjoying Game of Thrones. Now, I've never read the books, so I know that some people were upset that the TV show didn't match the books, but that's always the way. If they made a Blood Angels movie based on the Dante book, it's never going to be as good as the book. I mean, TV shows can never, because your imagination fills in like a lot more than what they can ever put into a movie, even with shit. If I just put some paint where I didn't want to put it. So I think you've got to factor that in, that like. But yeah, I'd never read the Game of Thrones books, and I did genuinely really enjoy the TV show. Bollocks, I knew I was going to do that. I can't get the bottom of his foot here. I don't have an angle to it where... Gavin says, I hope they revive Stargate. I would love that. Which Stargate season was your favourite, Gavin? Or who was your favourite character in Stargate? One of the two. I heard something about them reviving Battlestar Galactica, but I don't know how much I believe. I went to rewatch some of Game of Thrones. The ending left such a bad taste I couldn't get back into it. Yeah, I think that's where we were with Game of Thrones. Is like the final season just felt so offbeat compared to the rest of it that like it's kind of tarnished the whole of the rest of it. There's a prequel coming though, right? Or a prequel season or something. Oh man, every time I try and improve some of this edge highlighting, I make other bits worse. Hey Nate, good evening. Season 8, 9 and 10, when Ben Browner and Claudia Black joined. Do you know, it's been a long time since I watched SG-1 Highland Phoenix, right? But like, wasn't there an episode, right? You remember like the first episode, Ben Browner was in it, right? Because he was like a test pilot or something, and he'd like had a crash or something, and he recovers from the crash or something, and he goes to SG-1 and they say to him like, you're now going to be commander of SG-1. He's super stoked, and then he's like, who's on my team? And they're like, well, everybody's left SG-1. Like, there's no Carter, there's no Neil, there's no Carter, there's no Teal'c, there's no Jackson, right? And he's like, the whole of the first episode or the first couple episodes, I can't remember, it's been a long time, is him, and he keeps using the Blues Brothers quote. He keeps saying like, I'm getting the band, I'm on a mission from God or something, and I'm getting the band back together. I'm sure of it. I'm waiting for someone to edit that together on YouTube and like send it to friggin' Jeff Bezos at Amazon and be like, hey, can we get some more Stargate, please? Because I think Amazon bought MGM now, so technically they own Stargate. And I mean, Amazon do a lot of shows, so you never know. Maybe we'll get one. House of the Dragons on the 23rd of August. More incest, yippee, says Robert. That'll be a HBO thing, right? And here in the UK, I don't even really know how you get HBO. Like I don't know if we can get I don't even know what it's called, HBO Max or something. I don't know if we can get that here in the UK. I mean, we're just getting Paramount Plus, I think, and it's been out for a while in America as well. Sky Atlantic. Oh right, yeah, okay. I don't pay for Sky, man. I always thought Sky was expensive. I guess I just don't watch enough TV. Alright, I'm going to try and tidy up these legs and then I'm going to be done with these legs. I say try because I feel like I'm not going to be happy. I'm using Fenrisian Grey, man. It's the colour I use on all the Black Death Company. It's slow going though, honestly. It's very slow going. Yeah, edge highlighting, no. Yeah, I mean, I don't do it on any other. I don't do it on my Sangregard, I don't do it in any of my red models. I reserve it for the guys in black, I guess. And when I first decided to do Death Company, I thought to myself, like, maybe I should paint them in grey and, like, give them a couple of coats of Nuln Oil or something and just be done with it. And I did, like, a test model, like, this is, like, years ago now, and I didn't like it, so then I was like, fine, I guess I'll do the edge highlighting. But I guess, I don't know if I would even call this edge highlighting because my lines are a bit thicker because I guess I'm not that good a painter. So it's more like I'm just painting a rim around parts of the model that I think make sense. Like, it's not necessarily the edges of stuff. The new Starship Trooper season, I noticed, like, I don't play very many video games, but I noticed on Steam there's a new Starship Trooper game, like, based on the movie with Neil Patrick Harris from, like, the 90s, like, in that sort of, like, comedy, I'm doing my part style, and I honestly don't know if I would. I mean, it looks interesting. I don't know if I would buy it because I still have like 2 other video games that I've not really had time to play. The Grey Knight one and the Battle Sector. But I did see that they'd done like a parody style Starship Troopers game on Steam, and I was like, man, that looks kind of cool. I figure one day when I retire, that's where I'll catch up on all my video games. Or when the kids move out in like 20 years' time. Would you like to know more? Yeah, precisely. can't even do edge highlighting, my hands shake. Well, I mean, if you've seen, how long have I been doing this, guys? Just his legs? Like an hour now? You know, take your time, and you saw how many mistakes I made and how sometimes the lines are so thick and ugly. Like, just go back and try your best to tidy it up after, and you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just need to be happy with it, I guess. I mean, my edge highlighting is anything but perfect. My friend does some really good paint tutorials on Medical or Hobbies channel. I've seen him. I watched a couple of his videos actually. He's the guy that's he was trying for a year to go full time on YouTube, right? He did work for Games Workshop, and what was the deal? They either fired him or they told him that he couldn't have a YouTube channel. And now he's trying to go full time on his hobby channel. Good for him. Chase your dreams, I guess. Pin washing is my current nemesis. Null oil and stains grey so fast. Yeah, I hear you. 28-year-old daughter still lives at home. I mean, in some ways that's nice, right? I'll be sad when my daughter wants to leave because I have a lovely relationship with my daughter. But yeah, maybe 28 is a step too far. We'll see. Ask me again in like 25 years, I'll let you know, Daga. He was a manager in GW in Dublin for 15 years. Ah, right, okay. I didn't actually know what store he worked in or anything like that. UK cinemas are showing a 4K restoration of RoboCop soon. The same guy who did the Starship Trooper. You mean the original RoboCop, right? Like the 1980... something? 1980 something? What year was RoboCop? Must be like 80. It must be early 80s, I imagine. There's a pretty violent movie, the original RoboCop. They don't really make movies as violent as that anymore, or as... Maybe I'm wrong. It's just the scene where the guy actually... The policeman gets, like, brutalized and then becomes RoboCop. That's a very, very violent scene. I don't know if they'd still do scenes as violent as that these days. You have 3 seconds to comply. Did he really give someone 3 seconds? Surely not. Maybe a few more seconds. 3 doesn't seem very much at all, does it? I recently watched the 4K version of Terminator 2, and I was really impressed with how good the restoration of that movie was. If you've never seen Terminator 2, then try and get your hands on the 4K, because it's a brilliant action movie anyway, but the 4K was just so good. I laughed the first time I saw Arnold, and like the guy, I can't remember who I was with. I think it might have been my wife, was like, "What are you laughing at?" And I was like, "I'm just laughing at how good he looks." Like, you know, like considering this is a 30-some-year-old movie, and it's just like Arnold just like walks into the screen, and it's just like he just looks absolutely ripped, and it's totally badass. Mark still hasn't watched The Thing. Don't worry, Mark, you're going to watch The Thing when you come to visit me. 100%, we're watching it. It's a brilliant Kurt Russell movie. Alright, I think his legs are edge highlighted. I think that's as close as I need to go on those legs. I could try and make them better, but you guys can give me a rating out of 10. How good or bad are these legs? I love this guy is always coming in to try and tell us about the Love Chat is the best adult site. Awesome, thanks dude. We all love Love Chat. I haven't actually seen the reboot of RoboCop, but I assume that, like, the one that came out just a few years ago, I assume it's got nothing on the original. It's been on Netflix for a while actually, because I've seen it when my wife's been on Netflix. But no, I didn't really have any huge interest in watching it, I guess. I miss the Crazies 80 movies. Yeah, I mean, different time, I guess. I mean, what's made movies worse? Like, why are, like, because let's face it, like, I'm not a comic book person, right? Like, I've read a few comic books back in my life, but like, comic books were never anything that, like, you know, you get comic book collectors or whatnot that like love comic books. I was never that person. Like I said, I read a few comic books, nothing major. Do you know what? I read a few Walking Dead comic books. That's probably the last comic books I actually read. Like and they're not even comics, are they? They're like graphic novels, right? But you know, like the Avengers movies, or I guess all these Marvel movies, right? They're pretty good. I haven't watched all of them, but I've watched a good chunk of them, I would say. And I've watched some of them at the cinema because everybody goes to the cinema to see Avengers and Endgame and stuff like that. Like, what makes these, like, why are the 80s ones better? Or like, what are the new movies missing that those old movies had that like makes? Is it nostalgia, or are we just part of the old crowd that love the old movies? Is that part of it? Or is it other reasons? Judge Dredd remake was pretty good, yeah. I'm actually surprised they never give him a second movie. Because yeah, I did enjoy that Judge Dredd movie actually quite a lot. Saibal says you dedicate a nice chunk of time to your channel. Obviously, you work as well. How do you manage the channel with home life? Will we ever see Mrs. BAC or BAC Jr. on the channel? I mean, BAC Jr. is 7 months old. So maybe in 10 years' time, if he likes Warhammer, you might see Junior BAC Um, my daughter actually loves. She's like 2.5, and like if she's in this room, she like loves the models, and she loves the fact that, like, my daughter loves painting. So when she sees like all my paint pots and stuff, she's like, "I will paint them, Daddy," and I'm like, "You will not." But you know, the enthusiasm is there. So how do I? Yeah, I do work. How do I manage home life and stuff? I don't know. I guess I don't really have any other major big hobbies, Sliable. So, and I mean, my wife has always watched a lot more television than I've ever watched, right? So like, I can watch an hour or two of television, you know, like a couple episodes or something, but like once I've sat and watched a couple episodes of something, I want to go and do something. I don't really vegetate in front of the television. It's never really who I have been. Whereas my wife would quite happily do that. So like of a Saturday night, she was downstairs, you know, she'll watch something like, everybody's watching that Stranger Things show. I don't really watch that much horror TV either. So I let her like enjoy the television and watch that stuff, and I'll come and do some painting. My wife doesn't really have any interest in Warhammer. I was actually surprised at one point because I said to her like, I can't remember what I said, something, and she was like, "Oh, that's Blood Angel," and I was like, "Wow, I didn't actually even know if you knew what a Blood Angel was." So props to her for knowing what a Blood Angel is. You're going to try a 500 point game with your 6-year-old tomorrow. Well, let us know how that goes. Because, I mean, I actually, like, I don't know that much about kids beyond the kids that I have, and they're obviously much younger than that. So let me know. Like, sometimes when you read board games and toys and stuff, they say age 10 to adult. And I'm like, do the kids really need to be 10 for this? I wonder what the original Warhammer box said on it. A game for 2 or more players aged 12 to adult was what it says on the box for 2nd edition. I suppose they don't even say like 12 to adult or anything like that these days. They probably just, yeah. You wouldn't regard Stranger Things as horror? Okay, well, sorry, I thought Stranger Things was horror. I haven't watched any of it. The little bit that I saw of it, like maybe like 5 minutes here or there, looked kind of like a horror show. I thought something was coming from another dimension. Spoiler, I guess. It looked horror-y. Narcos is one of the best things ever made. I've never watched Narcos. I noticed that Better Call Saul is back for the final season. That popped up on Netflix. I'm gonna watch that though. I've been enjoying Better Call Saul. Apparently, the guys from Breaking Bad are gonna make a cameo in this last season. Or maybe they're in it for more than a cameo. I don't know. Yeah, Hero Quest would be a good starter game, I think, because in Hero Quest you have very limited amount of dice and you have very limited amount of spells, right? I guess if you play like a Barbarian in Hero Quest, you just don't even have... The Barbarian and Dwarf, I believe, don't have any spells. So that might be a perfect game for kids to get into first, maybe. I noticed Hero Quest has a new expansion coming out as well, the Frozen something or other, Frozen Horror, which is pretty cool because I actually had some of those Hero Quest expansions when I was a very young kid, and I honestly think my dad gave them to like a charity shop, and they're worth so much money right now. Like I did the Ogre expansion, and I looked on eBay, and the Ogre expansion is worth like $150 if you still had it in good condition, and I tried my best to keep all my models in good condition. Like I said, I've always been passionate about my models, so... But like I was asking, you know, like, hey, do you know where my Hero Quest is? And they're like, we think we gave it to a charity shop years ago. I was like, God damn it. Does the weather calm down for everybody now? Or is anyone still living through crazy heatwave type weather? My problem is I've got so many TV shows, and I probably watch like 3 hours of television a week, so I just can't keep up. It's probably an abnormally short amount of television to watch, but I guess that's just what I watch television-wise. Maybe 5 hours a week tops, but yeah, I mean, I'm not really a television person, I guess. DTM still has them all, Ogre expansion, everything. I really want to get the new one too, but I haven't scheduled any time to get it painted up, so I've got it on the back burner. The new one's awesome, comes with a ton of miniatures. You know I made a video on this channel about unboxing the new one, right, DTM? So, yeah, the new one is awesome, it just comes with so many miniatures. I don't know when I'm getting to paint all of those miniatures. I feel like the only way I'm finishing painting all my miniatures if I didn't have a day job, and I ain't gonna not have a day job for like many years, so I'll be painting forever. So I decided to do some lead belcher on this guy's metallics because I didn't want to do the edge highlighting on that guy's upper body after spending 2 hours on his legs almost. So, doing something a little less stressful for the last hour of the stream. I'm going to be live tomorrow with Armulus Show as always. So I think I've got about 6 or 7 lists submitted from the community, Blood Angels lists. So I'll be going over them tomorrow as normal. 9:30 UK time, so that should be probably live for about 2 hours tomorrow night as well. Just trick the kids into painting the minis. I mean, if the kids can't paint them at enough quality for me, then that's going to be a problem, Phil Grezio. Good night, Saibal. Thanks for hanging out. So apart from Mark with the new Devastation of Val book that he just got, has anyone got any new or recent recommendations for good Warhammer books that have come out recently, or anything that's on Audible as well, because that's where I usually listen to mine, on Audible. I actually picked up the Astrath book on Audible, but I've not started it yet. But now that I've said that, it feels like I think I was going to start it, and then I just realised I hadn't downloaded it when I was walking home from work one day, so maybe I need to double check that I've got it downloaded now and I started this week or something. And has anyone watched any content on Warhammer Plus recently that's really good as well? Because I've had Warhammer Plus for like a year and I've definitely underutilized it. I think the reason I've underutilized it is like most of the apps that I watch content on like would be built into my television, and I guess Warhammer Plus doesn't necessarily have an app built into my TV. Which is strange, because like I even get YouTube on my TV, right? On Warhammer Plus, the Hammer of Bolter series of shorts is uniformly excellent. Is Warhammer Plus still a thing? Yeah. I mean, I think it's going into year 2. I'm not sure if they've announced what models are coming with year 2, but as far as I'm aware, they're doing a year 2 of it. And it'll be that sort of thing where I think if you subscribe for the whole year, you maybe get a free, well, yeah, I guess they kind of call it a free model, but I think it's kind of included in your subscription cost, right? I think I'm due to get my free model in the next couple of months. Actually checked probably like 2 months ago and it said 3 months, so I should probably check again soon. I went for the Assassin. I don't actually have a Vindicator Assassin. The other option was like some sort of pretty cool looking orc. I think he could be... I think he was technically like a fantasy orc, but I think you could use him in 40k, was that right? Oh, but yeah, so this week I'm not going to have a live game on Wednesday. I should have said that earlier, I'm sorry. I'm travelling on Wednesday. Hopefully, I'm trying to get tickets for a football game on Wednesday. So assuming that we get tickets, they go on, I won't know till Monday morning when they go on sale to general public, but assuming that they get tickets, I'm not going to be live this Wednesday, so just in case anyone was wondering. But yeah, we're going to get Sisters on the channel soon, hopefully, and we're going to play against Andrew's sort of... I think Andrew said he was bringing Sisters to a tournament, so we'll get his list on the channel, and yeah, I think Sisters are going to be strong. Like I said, I never thought they were necessarily that unstrong anyway, but everyone can claim their free model on August the 1st. Oh, cool. Oh, that's cool. Why was that? Just because it's a thing? Maybe that means they're going to launch the new model, so they're letting everybody claim their old one. You mean soccer? Yeah, I mean soccer. Football is what we call it. Good evening, Steve. How you doing? You know, I did that Death Company video on Friday, so I guess yesterday. Sometimes it confuses me because I usually have the videos ready like a couple of days before I release them, and just depends on like how busy I am that week or whatever. So the Death Company video came out yesterday, and someone in one of the comments says like, what have you got against like Death Company with Infernal Pistols? Because I run 10 Death Company with Infernal Pistols, so 10 all with Infernal Pistols, and give them Chapter Master rerolls and Assault Doctrine. So the Infernal Pistols are essentially like -5, so basically nothing without an invulnerable save is getting to save, and it's 10 Infernal Pistols rerolling all the hits, and sometimes I can get them within half range. So it's basically d6 plus 2 damage times like a lot. Like, so, you know, what have you got against Infernal Pistols? And I guess like when they said the comment like that, I was like, you know what, I mean, I don't have anything against Infernal Pistols, and I definitely don't have anything against running 10 of them like that. I think that's sounds to me like it'd be pretty strong. I guess the issue is I don't have 10 Death Company modelled with chain swords and infernal pistols to even attempt to run it myself. But like, it genuinely doesn't sound bad at all, right? Thanks for hanging out, Campbell. Good evening. Danny's asking you, Nate, what you bring into this tournament. Which tournament are we talking about, Danny? My next tournament is in about 6 or 7 weeks' time, I think. I need to figure out my list for that. Soonish, I guess. How's your brother been doing anyway, Dan? It's your brother that plays Blood Angels and usually wins the tournaments, right? Or usually does pretty well. How's he been doing? I think a new DC secondary is really interesting. I'm going to try it out tomorrow. Are you? I didn't think you were playing Blood Angels, DTM. Oh, look at that. The wife has ruined his chances of winning a GT. How disrespectful, Nate. You can tell her that the Blood Angels commander is unimpressed with her booking this trip. Good evening, Snorri. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for the Army List show, hopefully. We've made DTM see the light and majesty of Sanguinius himself. Yeah, maybe. Maybe, DTM. I mean, you've been here for enough videos by now, surely. Surely at some point you thought about, like, just joining the club for all these, you know? My brother got second in a GT a couple of weeks ago, and there's a GT going on right now he couldn't make because he's attending a wedding. Oh man, real life comes in, doesn't it? Yeah, I can't attend this GT it's an RTT that Andrew's actually running in like 2 weeks' time because I've got a wedding to go to myself, actually. I'm actually wanting to go to another team event. I played a team event last year and it was really fun, but I felt a little bit let down by my teammates, so I'm trying to find some better teammates for the next team event. Team events can be a good way to practice against a lot of armies and also not feel like super pressured. Like I guess I put more pressure on myself in solo events than I do in team events. Maybe that's why in team events I generally do really well, because it's like you could win all your games, but if your team kind of doesn't, then you're never going to win the tournament, so you maybe just feel a little bit less pressurized because you're like, well, it doesn't really matter what I do, I can just do my best, right? Maybe that's a good place to start out for people that are just wanting to get into tournament play for the first time, would be to like look at some team events. September 21 to 23rd, there's a team event in Vegas. Is that where you guys live? In Vegas, is it? I've never been to Vegas. I would like to get out to the sort of that whole like West Coast, southern West Coast, I guess would be the right way to describe it, part of America. I've been to the Northwest a bunch of times because I've been to Seattle for work a couple of times. I've been to San Francisco for work. I've never been to like Southern California, I guess. Vegas sort of area. San Francisco was a cool place to visit, though. If you've never visited, I thought it was very cool. I climbed up Twin Peaks. I don't know if you've ever been, but they got like a couple of peaks like that look over the entire city that you can just like you can literally just walk up them. It's not even that hard a walk. Maybe like an hour and a half from the city centre. It's totally. I really enjoyed it. So what was the big points cost changes this week? Anyone actually see anything that they thought was notable? And also, does anyone... I was having a bit of a discussion with Andrew about like the sister secondaries and how like it's almost impossible to stop them scoring some of their secondaries, and like some of their secondaries are giving so many points. Do we think that we're going to get... Are we going to get like a balance, or are we going to get an FAQ to the new Nephilim book that like touches on like some of those armies where their secondaries are almost too easy or too scory or something? Do you think they're gonna change any of that book, or do you think that book's kind of... I was trying to remember, did they like FAQ the Nachman book in any way? Like, but then the secondaries and all that weren't in that Nachman book, right? So this is really the first time that we've had all the secondaries together in one book. Are we expecting to see changes like that, or do we think that we're just gonna... Is it just gonna stay the same for the whole season, so to speak? Wait, what do you guys think's gonna happen? This is in Tennessee. I mean, I'll get to America. I had tickets to go to America before COVID hit, and I was very fortunate that I had good travel insurance because I got like 99% of my money back. But yeah, no, I plan to visit America again for sure. It's so different to Scotland, you wouldn't believe it. I love it. Alright, I got like 5 more minutes. I mean, pre-Nephilim secondaries were also just as imbalanced, and they were around for years. Yeah, so I guess that's the question. Will we see any balance to the Nephilim secondaries, or will they just leave it? I mean, it seems like the way that you get balanced patches quickly is you look at the tournament results, and it's like if every tournament has, for example, Tyranids and Harlequins winning every tournament, then there'll be an FAQ around Tyranids or Harlequins. Like it seems like they only address that stuff if it potentially looks like there's a big imbalance, right? I gotta play Mortarion on Thursday. How do we deal with them? It's a tricky one. There's two ways you fight Mortarion. You completely ignore him for the entire game. You kill everything else that he has on the board, and you try and keep your distance from him. Or you try and kill him. And if you're gonna try and kill him, you're gonna need to commit like a lot to it, unless you've got Null Zone. And even with Null Zone, you probably have to commit like 2 squads of Sangreguard or something of that nature. Like, he's got -1 damage, he's got toughness 8. I guess he's got like a 3-up, 4-up, 5-up with Armor of Contempt, and like 18 wounds. So yeah, you either need to commit big into him or ignore him. And I can't, depending on where your opponent places him is going to determine what you have to do, I feel like. Because if the opponent brings him right into the middle of your stuff, it's going to be very difficult to ignore him. But if you set some bait at the side of the board and the opponent gets him into a board quarter or something, and he'll be stuck in 1 quarter for a couple of turns and he's not doing that much and he's 300 and some points, then potentially you can just ignore him, let him eat a couple of things in that quarter if you are taking over the rest of the battlefield, I guess. I mean, the other way, I guess, is like Death by 1,000 Cuts him, which is like to try and chip him away with ranged weaponry and stuff, but like, because he's toughness 8, bolters and that are like unlikely to ever do any damage to him whatsoever. Maybe a whole squad of bolters can take like a single wound, because you're only going to be wounding on 6s. I've played Death Guard quite a lot, and I usually beat them, whether or not they've got Mortarion. Yeah, Armulus Show will be live tomorrow as normal. Yeah, 100%. I think I've got like 6 lists submitted already for it. The wife and I were thinking of vacationing in Scotland. That's cool. I mean, there's lots of places to see in Scotland. Plus, it's crazy peaceful. If you wouldn't believe how quiet it is. I mean, Scotland has a population of 5 million people. To put that perspective, like, I think Manhattan has probably like more people in the entirety of Scotland. Like, our biggest city has 1 million people. It's probably very quiet if you're used to other areas. But there's some, yeah, I mean, there's old Scottish castles, there's crazy scenic areas, there's the Whiskey Trail. A lot of people obviously love doing the Whiskey Trail. Blood Angels are doing great against Marine factions, I guess. Death Company with swords are helping a lot with that, right? Like, they're helping a lot. Mark says new to 40k was gifted some Blood Angels, so here I am. Mark, thank you for joining. I'm like 2 minutes from finishing tonight's stream, but I mean, come back another week where we have multiple streams every week usually, and lots of Blood Angels content. If you're not subscribed yet, please consider doing it. I try and put out like a tactics video for Blood Angels every week. And welcome to 40k. It's a great hobby. There's a lot to get into. I vacation in Scotland. Whiskey and sheep. You guys have lots of those. We do have lots of whiskey and sheep. I mean, we have other things like cows and stuff as well, you know. Potatoes. We have a lot of potatoes. But yeah, no, in all seriousness, I think a lot of people come to Scotland for the whiskey. That's like one of the hugest appeals. But, you know, we got old castles and stuff like that as well. Edinburgh Castle is brilliant. If you've never seen like Edinburgh Castle, I guess, is like one of the probably the few castles that's like, I wouldn't say it's pristine because it was built like probably like 600-700 years ago, maybe even longer, but like you know, it's one of the few castles that's like, I mean, it's in good nick. Yeah, Edinburgh Castle is a great place to visit if you've never seen a full, you know, like it's literally a castle on a mountain like they would have built 1,000 years ago, is because it's defensible up a mountain, right? Alright guys, I am calling it just here in a minute. But yeah, tomorrow night, Armulus show, 9:30 UK time. We'll be live for about 2 hours doing that, and then we don't have a live game this Wednesday for a change, but I mean there'll still be content out on Friday, and yeah, my I think my Battle Ready Sangre Guard video is like completely edited now and uploaded, so I just need to make a thumbnail, and then that video will be coming out very, very soon as well. Well, I need a thumbnail and maybe a little bit of a video description, but yeah, it's gonna be the first like in-depth painting video on the channel. I did do a painting video on Dante a long time ago, but it wasn't a very good video. This one is much better, I think. So that'll be cool. Is whiskey related to the word whisk? I have no idea. Acreal. DTM's off to make a Blood Angels list. Tune in tomorrow night to the Armulus show, DTM. We'll make you one. Enjoy your evening, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in the next stream or the next video. And maybe see some of you guys tomorrow night. Alright. Good night, guys. Peace.